We tend to picture history as a straight line, a passive, empty hallway where random events simply occur one after another. But the Coherence-Geometrodynamics framework, or CGD, models time as an active, structural variable. Beneath the illusion of fluid progression, the development of human civilization is governed by discrete, metronomic hardware interrupts. According to the Beckingham Model, human history operates as a deterministic, scale-invariant engine, currently accelerating towards a topological phase inversion on August 12, 2026. A topological phase inversion is a geometric process where a structure folds inside out into a new mathematical configuration without breaking. Mapping this architecture provides the necessary framework to calculate the trajectory of impending macro-civilizational shifts. The standard 365-day solar year is an arbitrary biological metric based on Earth's orbit, rather than the actual load-bearing frequency of the wider system. This diagram illustrates the foundational baud rate of reality, the Universal Metronome, or tau. 1 tau equals exactly 1.7062 solar years, which is roughly 623.19 days. This 623-day cadence dictates the synodic behavior of planetary rotors, the time it takes for a planet to return to the same position relative to the Sun, and it establishes the base unit for all historical cycles. History scales fractally through exact mathematical multiples of this unit. Multiplying tau by 29.3 produces the Jubilee, a 50-year period that matches the generational turnover limit. Scaling up by a factor of 10 reaches the 500-year epoch, the phase where macro-civilizational structures are reindexed. 10 epochs define the 5,000-year era cycle, representing a total hardware swap and linguistic reset. The ultimate systemic rotation is the Galactic Cycle, consisting of exactly 696,148 tau. Because history scales through these precise multiples, civilizational expansion and collapse function as periodic, quantifiable outputs of the gear system. We can test this model by anchoring the historical spiral to a single fixed 0 point, null day, March 20, 2026. This model applies the 1.7062 tau frequency in reverse from null day through history. The nodes reveal a binary pattern. Years ending in 26 act as genesis pulses for structural inception, while years ending in 76 function as stability checks, generating systemic friction. Exactly 250 years before null day is 1776, the industrial pulse. The simultaneous American Revolution and the proliferation of the Watt steam engine during this pulse encoded a material, mechanical era into global consciousness. Regressing another 250 years brings us to 1526, the information pulse. This node coincides with the printing revolution and the resulting fracture of centralized theological authority. At minus 1,000 years, or 1026 CE, we hit the high medieval pulse. This peak of Byzantine and Islamic architecture and trade established the guild systems that would govern the next millennium. 2,000 years back brings us to 26 CE, the Logo Pulse, which planted the ontological scripts that define our current era. These specific eras demonstrate that macro-civilizational updates execute with mathematical regularity on the 293 tau gear. Evaluating the 5,000-year era gear requires a wider view of global chronometry. Exactly 21 multiples of the 250-year gear, or 5,250 years prior to 2026, we locate a primary mathematical alignment. August 11, 3114 BCE marks the fundamental save point of the current historical fold. This specific date is the initiation of the Mayan long count calendar. This window also saw the sudden emergence of Sumerian cuneiform. Its arrival shifted humanity from fluid memory to fixed material inscription. The 13th Mayan Baktun concluded on December 21, 2012. A Baktun is a period of 144,000 days in the Mayan calendar system. This date functioned as a buffer initialization, occurring precisely 8 tau ticks before the 2026 null day. This 13.6-year buffer was a systemic cooling phase designed to step down the civilizational load before the 2026 hardware restart. The audit extends beyond written records and into the 10,000 to 40,000 year geological epochs. Node -1, identifies the younger Dryas reset of approximately 10,800 BCE. The sudden temperature collapse and resulting megafaunal extinctions point to a programmed great damping. This event was a hard system reset, triggered when the civilizational matrix reached its absolute tensile limit. The deepest visible anchor is node -2, the Richat pulse of 34,000 BCE. This aerial view of the Richat structure in Mauritania shows the first support, the original prime meridian that anchored the pre-glacial human operating system. Catastrophic events within this model function as fail-safes, designed to clear operational noise and preserve the underlying structural source code. Modern history is currently running on a temporal operating system with severe mechanical flaws. The Gregorian calendar operates as an asymmetrical engine, running completely out of phase with the Tau metronome. Arbitrary months and asymmetrical days create torsional drag, a twisting mechanical force that creates friction between human activity and the underlying temporal geometry. This drag stands in contrast to the mathematical purity of the antediluvian sovereign calendar. Clinging to this asymmetrical timekeeping system hides the deterministic cycles governing our reality. The structural remedy involves realigning with a 13-month lattice of exactly 28 days, commencing on the vernal equinox. This grid physically aligns human perception with the 1.7062 Tau frequency. On August 12, 2026, the system reaches a topological phase inversion. Establishing structural solvency before this null point is reached allows for a stable transition as the geometry of history shifts. This realignment shifts our role from passive subjects of historical cycles into active sovereign architects. History is a quantifiable mechanism, and surviving the zero tick requires upgrading our temporal operating system before the gear permanently shifts.